So today we're talking about cybersecurity for the home and the family. First, let me just introduce myself. My name is Aaron Brown. I'm the technical lead for the Office of CyberSecurity CERT team, Computer Emergency Readiness team. So what we do is incident response, right? So if an attacker breaks into a network, if someone hacks in or there's malware, we can deploy on site, set up the full incident command, do the forensic analysis, the malware analysis. What's this malware doing? What are the hackers doing? How are they doing it? How do they get in? How do we kick them out? How do we keep them out? And so we go through that whole process. When we're not fighting those fires, we do security assessments. And so we look at technical evaluations, what vulnerabilities are there, validate the vulnerabilities, look at configuration issues, give practical recommendations off of that. So that's kind of what I do for a day job. And then this presentation, our whole goal is just talk about you and your families, not so much the enterprise level, because that's kind of a different beast, a different alligator to wrestle. And so, how do you protect yourself at home and the different devices you have at home? First, if you don't get these notifications of these education opportunities, of these Skype events, let us know. You can email the CERT at ocs.wa.gov, and we can put you on a list to email you directly. Official government addresses only, so SLTTs, state, local, tribes, and territories are all fantastic, are all great, but official government only, please. All right, so why is my family targeted? For a lot of us, we wonder, what do I have on my computer? I have a whole bunch of pictures of my family, I have some videos, I maybe have, maybe a tax document, or I do some banking from home, but I really don't do anything super top secret, I don't do anything crazy. Why am I being targeted? Why do people want my stuff? And there's actually several reasons. So there's a lot of big groups that target, that do cyber attacks are nation states, and they want to further their nation's interests, right? Either by finding, other countries' top secret information, or industrial information, what their businesses do, proprietary information to make their economies go better, stuff like that. There's activists, which is another group that attacks. They just want to further their political, whatever their political agenda is, or whatever their cause is. And then there's online crime groups. So essentially it's mafia online, it's organized crime, and they want money. And so, any kind of bank information or credit cards, things like that. And so what our homes and our families typically are targeted for are financial information. So your credit cards, right? They want to be able to capture your credit card as you enter it into Amazon or to whoever you shop with. Another thing is PII, personally identifiable information. So they essentially want to take over your identity online. And so with that, it's actually more lucrative than getting your financial information. Because if I get your credit card, I can max out your credit card, and that's it. If I get your bank account, I can max out your bank account, or drain all the funds from your bank account, but that's it. If I take over your identity online, I can order new credit cards. I can apply for new credit cards. If I get your health information or insurance information, I can do health insurance fraud or other kinds of fraud, trying to get money and try to get money from those assets. And so it can be very lucrative. It's just a little more difficult to leverage. Processing your network resources. This is very common. And so there was the Mirai botnet, which is a fairly recent attack, which it was a whole bunch of just Internet of Things, a whole bunch of really small kind of weak computers that are on the internet for cameras or for our modems, for our routers that we have at our home systems, things like that were hijacked. So there was a ton of them. They were hijacked, and they all were told to talk to one place at the same time. And that just overloads whatever computer it talks to. Big networks, small networks, it was very, very effective. And so stealing computing resources, even from just like the small stuff that you have, maybe you have a doorbell that's connected to the internet, so it can send you pictures of who's at the front door, or control the temperature in your house, things like that. If they can get a hold of those, a lot of times they aren't very secure, so they can hijack them and get them to try to do other stuff. So processing our network resources. Another one that we see is if you go to a website, all of a sudden your browser starts getting really slow. We've seen a lot of folks that will try to hijack, if you go to their website, they will try to steal your web browser and your computer processing cycles to mine Bitcoin for them. So while that browser is open, it's going to be just chewing through your resources, trying to get money for them. They also can target family, friends, coworkers, right? So maybe you don't work in a sensitive position or a sensitive company, deal with any sensitive information, but Uncle Bob or Aunt Sue, they do, and so they can try to leverage that. Because a lot of times the attackers are finding it's difficult to attack someone directly, so they try to go a little circuitous route to get it. So this is typically what they try to get from you. But how do I get infected? Most common way to get infected is phishing emails. You get an email, some of them look really cheesy, you can immediately identify them, okay, that's not legit. Others are pretty realistic, right? This looks pretty realistic for a UPS phishing email. And it's pretty generic. Hey, dear UPS customer, new invoices are available. There's nothing specific about you, about what you ordered, about the shipping time frame. It's just very generic. They can blast it out to a whole bunch of folks. And even if they get 1% of people clicking on it, 2%, if I send out to 2 million folks, I'm getting quite a few people to click on it. Quite a few systems I just compromised. This is spear phishing. It's another kind of phishing. It's very targeted, very focused. For this one, this person went to Wentworth Institute of Technology. They found out that he went there. They don't know his name, and they figured out his ID number. And so they made this very elaborate, very specific. It looks very legitimate. Most of us would probably click on this if we were. And so this is spear phishing, very focused, very targeted, much more difficult for people to create because they have to know a lot about you, but very effective. So this is another way that people get targeted. Browsing questionable sites. This is a very common way for people to get their computers compromised. So most of the time it's free stuff, right? We want free wallpapers, watch free movies, right? The new Avengers comes out, it's not out of theater yet, and we find a website that has it for free that we can try to download. Free ringtones, very common. A lot of free stuff. Those websites are higher risk of trying to compromise you, of having malicious code there, or partnering with they get advertisements from somebody that has malicious intent, things like that. Adult websites, also very common to get compromised with adult websites as well. So this is called a website drive-by, and this has actually happened to all the major news companies out there. MSNBC, Fox News, New York Times, big or small, doesn't matter. All of them have dealt with this at one time or another. The general idea is, let's say I go to MSNBC, most of the website is coming from MSNBC, but those banner ads that you see that try to sell you stuff, that's not actually running on their servers. That is a window, it's almost a browser within a browser that goes straight to whoever paid them for that advertising space. And so you can get different software tools and things to see all the places that you're being connected to when you go to a website. And normally there's 10 or so places, a dozen or more, that you're connecting to when you go to one website. And a lot of them are advertising, or they want to know what you click on, or trying to track you for, to tailor their website to you. Advertisers are very, very common. So the way this attack normally works is, let's say, someone malicious. I'm a malicious person. I buy ad space on MSNBC. I pay them the money. I have an advertisement that goes for a while, and it's a legit advertisement. Nothing malicious about it. But after about a week of having this normal advertisement, I then change my website on the back end, and all of a sudden, anybody going to MSNBC is being attacked by my computer. They click on it, they're essentially going to my website inadvertently, and I can try to compromise their stuff, or hijack their browser, or compromise their computer. So this is something that is fairly common. Password reuse is another one that we're seeing quite a bit of. And so let's say I have an Xfinity account, and Xfinity gets compromised. They lose names and passwords, okay? So whoever takes those names and passwords, then they'll take your email address and your password for Xfinity, and they'll try to log into tax websites, banking websites. They'll try to log into your email, right? If they compromise your email, how do you normally reset your password? Like, you forget your password, Forget my password. Okay, we'll send you an email. Click on that link and we'll let you reset your password. So if somebody compromises your email, they pretty much took over your online presence for most situations. And so this is very common. Another way that they've used this that we've seen recently is, let's say a password you use anymore, right? Some company was compromised 5 years ago, you've already changed your password, but what they'll do is they'll send you an email and they'll say, hey, you're doing something bad on your computer. We know you're doing it. We have proof. To show you we have proof, here's an email address. Here's a password that you've used before. See, we know it's you. Give us money or we're going to release this to the public. They actually haven't compromised anything of yours. They don't know you. They just use some information they picked up online, just your password and your email address. And they'll try to con you into giving them money. So that's something that's also common. So those are the most common ways to get attacked. How do you protect yourself? So first, talk about a couple myths. So one myth that a lot of people believe is antivirus. I have an antivirus. I'll be fine. There's, antivirus protects me from everything, or from the vast majority of things. In my job, we come across things all the time that get past antivirus. The people that write these malware programs, that write these attack tools, they're constantly changing it and tweaking it. Even just the smallest tweaks, all of a sudden the antivirus doesn't understand, because computers, they're really not that smart, right? If they're trained to identify a red Toyota and you change the color to blue, all of a sudden the computer can't figure it out. You have to do a lot of extra programming to have it to be smarter at detecting things, right? And so just modifying the malware just a little bit, all of a sudden the antivirus doesn't detect it. It's still effective. Everybody I know, still has antivirus. I still have antivirus on my systems, but it's not an end-all be-all. It can help, but it's not going to solve all your problems. It doesn't make it perfect. Another thing, and actually I see this in the industry quite a bit, in enterprise, is if I buy something really expensive, I get like $1 million machine, I plug it into the network, it's like AI, next generation, it's like Jarvis. It's going to solve my problems. It's going to protect my network. And that's not true. We have some very expensive security tools in the network, but they don't all solve your problems. Some of the salespeople will tell you it'll solve all your problems, but they really don't. It's such a large problem. There's so many different ways to be attacked. There's such an attack surface that just throwing a lot of money at it isn't going to solve your problem. Just getting the latest, greatest tool isn't going to solve your problem. What really solves your problem is looking at your behavior, making sure everything is patched or updated, double checking your passwords and handling your passwords securely, doing your backups, and having an antivirus. Those are probably the 5 biggest things to really help protect you online. All right, so antivirus, not the end-all be-all, but it's one layer of the solution. Patching, making sure that your systems are patched. Most of these companies, most of these products are trying to automatically patch, which is fantastic. So they try to take care of it for you. But there's still some times where patches don't apply. It's good to double check that things are patched. So for example, what I like to do with my web browsers. So you open up your web browser and normally there's like an options or a help in the far top right. You pull that down and you do about. And it's supposed to tell you about what version of software you have and tell you about the company, right? That's also the page that when you open that, it will check, hey, is there a new version? Download and install now, yes. And so that's a good way to double check if you have the latest and greatest. But all these tools are very heavily targeted. Flash is being less targeted these days just because HTML5 is coming out more. But very, very important to patch your software because it's the holes that are in the software that a lot of the attackers use to get in. Passwords. So a lot of times, our passwords, they feel like they have to be complex. They feel like they're some big, math equation, calculus problem to make them secure. And it doesn't have to be very, very difficult, right? There's ways to manage your passwords to make it secure. For example, passphrases. Having a long password is key. Having a very short password is very easily cracked. Having a long password really, really helps. So one example of kind of a way to make a long password to make it memorable is the first letter of each word in your favorite movie quote. So, with great power comes great responsibility, Spider-Man 2019. Not too hard to remember. If you're a Spider-Man fan, if you've seen a couple videos or a couple movies, that comes up all the time. Okay, that's pretty easy to remember. And you're not going to find that in a dictionary. You're not going to find just pieces of that in a dictionary. And that's also key. Make sure that you can have some dictionary words in there, but have some variation to make sure that it's not easily cracked by a computer. So once you have your passphrase, personally, I like to have a password vault. And this is what I recommend for folks. Have a password vault. The general idea is you remember one long password, and then you have a secure program remember everything else. So use one long password to get into, let's say this solution, one long password to get into LastPass. And the LastPass now keeps track of all your accounts and all the passwords for those accounts. And it will help you generate secure passwords. So you don't have to remember anything. So let's say I want to go to Dropbox, I can click on Dropbox, it will automatically log me into that website. For LastPass, you remember one big long password, one master password, and then it unlocks your vault. And inside your vault, you keep all of your account information. And you can create notes in there, and you don't just have to say just your name and password. But let's say I want to access my Dropbox, double click on Dropbox, it will automatically open up Dropbox for me, log in for me. It keeps all that in there. If I want to set a password, it has a password generator, so it can come up with a complex password. And what's nice, because you don't have to remember the password, you only have to remember your master password. All the rest of these, set it to 60 characters, 100 characters, uppercase, lowercase, colons and umlauts and dollar signs and all. You don't care because you don't have to remember it anymore. So it makes it very, very nice. It also is nice because if, let's say Mint gets compromised and they lose all my passwords, I'm not using the same password for anything. So Mint gets compromised, they're the only account that gets compromised, they're not going to impact anybody else. So very, very nice solution. So this one is, LastPass is one that's very popular. It's available online. You can access it from your phone, from your laptop, from your desktop. Doesn't matter. It's all going to be able to connect up to LastPass website and let you access that information securely. So the key features, online access, it autofills passwords in your browser, trusted contact for emergency. So let's say you forgot your master password. It has trusted contacts in there, so it's like, okay, we'll let your grandma know, and then she can, say, yes, I want to unlock that account for her. Something like that. Two-factor authentication, very, very important. We'll talk about two-factor in just a minute. The general idea is not just your name and password. So, someone can learn my name and password and log into stuff. But if there's something I have to have, for example, let's say I have, a YubiKey, a physical device on my keychain. You have to have this to log into my accounts. Plug it in, I hit a button, it sends a special code. If you don't have this, even if you have a name and password, you're not getting anything. So something like this is very, very nice. There's lots of different solutions out there. The kind of downside of LastPass is it's available online. Anyone can attack it, right? Anyone all over the world can try to break into it, can try to attack it. LastPass has been compromised before. I don't believe any passwords were stolen, but their website has been compromised before. But it's still a very good site. They're a very good security company. I wouldn't recommend them otherwise. But that is kind of a trade-off. It's nice because it works no matter where you are, no matter what device you're using. But anyone can try to attack it. Another option is KeePass. So KeePass is local on your system, so that means they have to find you, break into your computer to try to access the vault. Even when they get into your computer, they have to try to figure out your master password to get into your vault, and have your two-factor authentication if you use that, if you set that up. So it's more difficult for them to get in, but you have to then install KeePass on your phone, install it on your laptop, figure out a good way to share that information at home. So this one you can organize, you can set up folders, put in each company, take all kinds of notes that you want in there, and then the whole idea is you right click on whatever you want to access, and you say open in a browser. And then you double click on username and it copies it to your clipboard. So you just have to go to the username field in the web browser and paste. Double click on the password, go to the browser and paste. So it's nice and simple, you don't have to remember passwords except for your master methods. So offline, local access only, copy and paste method, two-factor authentication. So that's a good option as well. So two-factor authentication. There's lots of different ways to do two-factor authentication. The whole idea is we don't want it to be something that you know, we want it to be something that you have. We want to make sure that even if they know your password, know your user account, they're not able to get in. So one way is like texting. Okay, send me a text message if I change my password, or if I try to log into a different computer, send me a text message. That works great. They have to have your phone and be able to access your phone, have the PIN to log into it, to be able to access your stuff. The YubiKey is another option. There's a whole bunch of, the next slide will have some different options. Here's all the different companies, or lots of different companies that have two-factor authentication. If you're curious on who does, twofactorauth.org is a great place to look. The big ones, the two biggest that I would say set up two-factor authentication is your email, because when you reset your password, it normally goes to your email. So the email and your password vault, those would be the two to really secure two-factor. But yeah, lots of great stuff. Steam if you're a gamer, Evernote, Dropbox, all kinds of great stuff. So different ways to do a two-factor. There's the YubiKey that I mentioned before. It also can sync up with or transfer to your phone. So if I have a phone app that says, okay, what's your two-factor authentication? I just take it and I touch it to my phone and it transfers automatically. I don't have to plug it in. It's very nice. So NFC to do that. Google Authenticator, it's essentially, okay, go to your Google Authenticator and tell me what number's there. And so if this number matches up the number that they have on their service or on their website, then you're good to go and you can log in. If it's not the same number and it rotates every 30 seconds, then you don't get it. So two-step verification, that top link is how to set it up with Gmail. A lot of folks have Gmail, so I'll just put that there. But all the major email companies, Outlook.com, Yahoo, they all do two-factor. All right, so behavior, talked about this before. So just gotta be careful about where you go to because some websites are higher risk. If you try to browse to them, they're more likely to try to attack you. So anything that's free. If you just can't give up getting your free wallpapers, your free ringtones, then here's an option. So set up a virtual machine. So a virtual machine it's a computer within your computer essentially. It's a program that's actually a computer in that window. And so the whole idea is it's like a video game. You save the video game and then you do whatever you need to do in that computer. And then when you're done with it and you kind of copied off everything you need or you've done everything you need to do, then when you close it, you just say, okay, load the game, load my snapshot, my save state. And so everything that was done since that point that you saved gets wiped out. Doesn't matter what they've done, what they've hacked, everything gets reverted back to the way it was when you first saved it, exactly. And so that's a good way of doing it. No matter what they did, what they could have compromised, boom, that computer, that virtual machine is back to the way it was. And so VirtualBox, VMware Player, both are free tools that you can use to run virtual machines. Just Browsing is a free distribution that is set up for just browsing. It has everything you need to go to your websites and to look at things, to do everything you need to do online. And so that's a good option. Linux Mint is another good option, very user-friendly, free distribution, download it, and you can use that for a virtual machine. You can use that as the operating system to run in your virtual machine. So VMware, and when you're doing stuff like risky in that window, if you're using that window for risky stuff, don't go to banking sites. Don't use that only for the risky stuff, and use something else, a different virtual machine or your main computer for your normal stuff. You want to try to keep it as separate as possible. Backups are another thing that seems kind of weird. It's security. How does that protect you from getting compromised? It doesn't protect you from getting compromised, it just means that if you are compromised, you're not hosed. If you're compromised, you can recover from it. So there's something called ransomware. It's very, very prevalent, very lucrative for bad guys to do. And what they do is they essentially get you to click on a link or open an attachment, somehow run a program, this malware, and what it does is it starts encrypting all your important files, all your pictures, all your images, all your, all your documents, Office documents, Word documents, anything it thinks is valuable, it's going to encrypt it, and that's going to pop up a message and say, hey, if you want that back, you better pay us money. And companies, fairly large companies, have been completely put out of business because all their proprietary data, all their customer database, all their finances, all have been encrypted, and if they don't have good backups, they can't recover. Because the encryption that's used for this is the stuff that we use for our banks. It's enterprise-grade AES encryption. And so in the very, very beginning, in the early days, the hackers didn't program that well. And so you used to be able to kind of get at the information other ways. These days, they're getting much better. There's not these flaws, and so if you don't have backups and you got nailed with ransomware, you're kind of hosed, you're not getting that information back. So here's a couple free options. Microsoft has their backup solution. Apple has their backup solution. Here's two open source programs, Amanda Network Backup and Bacula. Both are good options, or all four are good options. You can back up your whole hard drive, or truthfully what I do is I back up my sensitive files, and that's all I back up. So my documents, my pictures, the stuff I really care about. If I get compromised, I essentially wipe the computer and install Windows again and just copy my documents back over. It works for me. These are more automated solutions. These guys will automatically do it for you, which is very nice. Or they'll just copy your whole, or back up your whole hard drive, and they can restore the whole thing for you. So smartphones, how do you protect those? Here's several good things to do. So having a PIN or a password, so making sure you have a swipe code or you have a PIN to get into your phone. Make sure that it locks out, that if you're not touching it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, that it's going to go dark and you have to enter that PIN again, so it doesn't just stay unlocked. The SIM card lock is another good option. So in your phone, there's something called a SIM card. It's really small. The whole idea is that's your identity as far as AT&T, Verizon, whoever's concerned. That's who you are. So maybe the attackers don't know your PIN code, so they can't get at your pictures or your applications or whatever, but they can rip out your SIM card, just pull it out. It's just, you push it, you pull it out, and they can grab their phone, plug it in, and they are now using your phone number. They can do all kinds of whatever malicious stuff they want to do with your phone number, prank call people, or do kind of phishing scams. They can pretend to be you, or oh no, they've been so-and-so's been in an accident or whatever. We need we need their insurance information to start processing them and to give them the medical help they need. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So having a SIM card lock is just a password on that. So the first time you boot up your phone, you enter in that, it's just a PIN essentially. You just enter in a PIN, and you don't have to enter that PIN again until you restart your phone. So nice and easy. Remote location wiping. Most phones, iOS or Android, have remote location. Where is my phone? It has remote wiping. I don't have control of my phone anymore, wipe all my data from it. So even though they'll be able to keep your phone or have your phone, everything gets wiped, so they're not going to have any of your information. Minimize the apps that you have on there. So when you install apps, have you ever had it pop up? And let's say I'm installing a compass app. I like to go out in the woods, and I like to do camping and stuff like that. So I have an app that's a compass, and when I try to install it, it says, "Okay, we want access to your contacts list, to your emails, to your web browsing history." Why do you need that? You're a compass app. There's no reason you should have that. And a lot of these companies, they ask for extra information so that, sometimes it's not malicious, it's just so they can figure out what you're doing. Sometimes it's so they can get information on you and sell it to advertisers. Sometimes it's to take information and, spam your friends and family or steal your data, your names and passwords or whatever. So minimize the applications that you have on there. If it's asking for more than it should, look for an alternative. Or maybe you don't need that application. You haven't used the application in a long time, remove it from your system, stuff like that. Install apps only from the App Store or Google Play. There's other places you can go online to install stuff, but most of the legit folks are on the major vendors. Be careful what Wi-Fi you connect to. So you connect to public Wi-Fi, the coffee shop or McDonald's or whoever. You connect to it. People can try to listen because essentially it's just like shouting stuff in a room, right? Wi-Fi. It's like shouting stuff in a room. And if it's encrypted, okay, you don't know what I'm saying, but you can still hear me. If it's not encrypted, you know exactly what I'm saying, where I'm going, what names and passwords I enter in, and stuff like that. So be careful about what Wi-Fi you connect to. If you connect to public Wi-Fi, probably don't want to do sensitive stuff on there, banking and things like that. Antivirus. I've never seen an instance, truthfully I've never heard of an instance of antivirus on a phone catching anything, but major security vendors have antivirus products. They have signatures in there to find some malware. It probably doesn't hurt, as long as it doesn't slow down your phone too much. But that's not true. So, have I been compromised? How do you tell? So it is difficult to tell. A lot of attackers try to hide themselves, but is your computer sluggish? Is your browser sluggish? Is it not really moving? Your browser, is it trying to go to unintended websites? Like you open up, Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer, you open it up and it's, immediately loads some website that you normally don't go to, that you didn't tell it is your home page, stuff like that. The web browser doesn't let you go to security websites, like Norton antivirus website, or McAfee antivirus website, Bitdefender. If you can't get to those websites, antivirus or a piece of malware may be preventing you from going because it wants to stay on your system as long as possible. New applications or extensions installed. A lot of the stuff that gets installed is called a PUP. It's potentially unwanted programs. Advertising, they're trying to make money. It's not necessarily super malicious, but that can having some weird add-ons or things on your web browser could be that could be even compromised. Antivirus doesn't open or doesn't appear normal. So you can check your online accounts. So this haveibeenpwned.com, P instead of an O, is a website you can go to, enter in your email address, and it has a big repository of credentials that have been compromised over the years. And so it'll say, hey, we see that your email has been involved in 3, 5, 10 password releases out there. You may want to make sure that these passwords are changed. And so that's something that's good to do. It's run by Troy Hunt. He's a big name in the security community, so it's a good site to go to. All right, so you've been hacked. What do you do? So for kind of desktops, laptops, unplug your network cable or disable your Wi-Fi, because while this thing is communicating to whoever's been attacking it, to the command control server, it can receive updates, it can change its behavior, it can try to take your information and send it out. So the first thing to do is kind of unplug it from the network and make sure it can't connect out. A quick, easy way to check to see if it's malicious or if it's been compromised is to run multiple antivirus programs on it. To scan it with multiple antivirus programs, I should say. So antivirus companies, they have full research teams that make signatures, that look for this stuff, that try to detect it for you. One caveat to having multiple antivirus programs on a computer is you want to turn auto protect off. So if the antivirus is automatically trying to search your computer and anytime you open a program it's trying to see, oh, is this malicious? They can conflict with each other, and antivirus programs will actually try to vie for dominance on your computer, and they'll start attacking each other. It's kind of fun to see because they're all trying to protect each other, and their actions and the places they look aren't normally where we go and look. And so the other antivirus programs are like, hey, that's not normal, and so we'll try to kill it. It's kind of fun to see. So make sure you disable auto protect, and then you can just scan my hard drive. That works great. If you have a little bit more IT knowledge, you can pull the hard drive and plug it into another computer. Because there's no active code running on the hard drive that you're scanning, that's just fine. You can pull off your documents. Be aware some of those documents may be compromised, but you can pull off documents, you can scan that hard drive things like that. Just don't run anything on that hard drive. Don't try to run the applications. Restore from backup. So make sure it's clean. If you know you have a clean backup, just restore it back to that backup. You can wipe it and reinstall from the original media. Let's see. Make sure to change your operating system and your recently used passwords, because a lot of these programs, a lot of this malware out there will try to capture your passwords and they'll try to use it later, right? So change those passwords so they're no longer valid. And monitor your financial accounts is not a bad idea. For your phones, a lot of times your phone's compromised, you just reset to factory defaults, and that wipes it. There's not a whole lot you can do on your phone. They limit what you can see and what you can do with phones. Yeah. So that's kind of how to keep yourself safe and what you should look for if you're compromised and what to do if you are compromised.